He never threatened me, never raised his voice, never said anything explicitly controlling, never told me I couldn't do things, never made demands, never issued ultimatums, but I was terrified, constantly terrified, lived in permanent state of fear, not fear of him exactly. Not fear of what he would do, but fear of disappointing him, fear of seeing that look on his face, that subtle shift in his expression when I'd done something that wasn't quite right, wasn't what he'd hoped, wasn't what he'd expected. The disappointment was worse than anger would have been, was more effective than threats, kept me more carefully controlled than any explicit rule ever could. I'm 60, I left 5 years ago, and I'm still unpacking how someone controlled me so completely without ever threatening me, without ever telling me what to do, just through making me desperately afraid of disappointing him, of failing to meet expectations I could never fully understand, of losing the approval I'd built my entire sense of self around. The fear of his disappointment became the cage, became the mechanism, became the invisible hand that guided every choice I made, every word I spoke, every part of myself I showed or hid. The control was complete because I did it to myself, monitored myself, restricted myself, adjusted myself, all to avoid seeing that look, that particular expression that meant I disappointed him again, had failed again, wasn't enough again. He never had to threaten because the threat of his disappointment was more powerful than anything he could have said. The fear of losing his approval shaped me more thoroughly than any explicit demand ever could. If you've ever been more afraid of disappointing someone than of them hurting you, if you've shaped your entire life around avoiding that look of disappointment on their face, if you've realized that fear of their displeasure controlled you more effectively than threats ever could, if you've understood that someone made you afraid to disappoint them and that fear became your cage, you already know what I'm describing. You already know how invisible this type of control is, how complete it becomes, and maybe seeing it named will help you understand that living in fear of disappointing someone isn't love, it's control, even when no threats are ever made. We met when I was 55, he was 58, both divorced, both had adult children. Both felt we'd learned what we wanted from relationships, what healthy partnership looked like. He seemed gentle, seemed kind, seemed like someone who valued emotional intimacy, who wanted deep connection, who cared about my happiness. I was drawn to his quiet attentiveness, his seeming interest in knowing me deeply, understanding me completely. Month 3, I saw the look for the first time, the look that would come to define the relationship. We were at dinner. I was telling a story about something that had happened at work. I was animated, probably talking too much, too loud, too enthusiastically. Mid-sentence, I looked at him and saw it, a particular expression, subtle disappointment. Not dramatic, not obvious, but unmistakable once you learn to recognize it. Slight change in his eyes. Almost imperceptible shift in his expression, energy withdrawal. I stopped talking immediately, mid-sentence, said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Nothing's wrong." I said, "You look disappointed." He said, "I'm not disappointed." I'm just listening, but I knew what I'd seen, knew something had shifted. Spent the rest of dinner quieter, more careful, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong, what had triggered that look. Couldn't identify it exactly. I just knew I'd been too much somehow, too loud, too animated, too something. The next time I saw him, I was more careful, monitored my energy, kept my voice lower, told shorter stories, checked his expression constantly to see if I was doing it right, if I was being what he needed, if I was avoiding whatever had triggered the disappointment before. He seemed pleased, seemed warm, seemed engaged. I felt relief, felt like I'd figured it out, had learned how to be, had avoided disappointing him. But I hadn't figured it out because what triggered his disappointment changed, was unpredictable. What pleased him one day would disappoint him the next. What made him warm and engaged one time would trigger that look another time. I couldn't establish rules, couldn't figure out the pattern, couldn't predict what would please him versus what would disappoint him, which meant I had to be constantly vigilant, constantly monitoring, constantly adjusting. Year one, I started organizing my entire existence around avoiding his disappointment, would monitor his expression constantly during conversations, checking to see if I was saying the right thing, being the right way, meeting whatever unstated expectation he had. Would adjust mid-sentence if I saw his expression shift, would change topics, change energy, change tone, trying to return to whatever pleased him, trying to avoid that look. I disappointed him with small things I couldn't have predicted would matter. I chose the wrong restaurant. Once he didn't say anything explicitly, just had that look, that subtle disappointment that meant I'd failed to read what he wanted. I'd suggested Italian, he'd agreed. But the look told me that wasn't what he'd wanted, wasn't the right choice. I should have known somehow, should have intuited what he actually preferred, even though he'd said Italian was fine. I disappointed him when I was tired, came home from work exhausted, just wanted to rest, be quiet. He didn't say I shouldn't be tired, didn't criticize, just had that look, that disappointment that communicated my tiredness was failing him, somehow was not being what he needed. I started hiding tiredness, pretending I had energy even when I was exhausted, maintaining cheerfulness, engagement, availability, all to avoid that look. I disappointed him with my career. I was successful, had a demanding job, was proud of what I built. But sometimes work required travel, required long hours, required my focus and attention. He never said I shouldn't work, never told me to quit, never explicitly objected. Just had that look when I'd mention upcoming travel, upcoming busy period. That subtle disappointment that communicated my career was failing him, was taking me away from him, was prioritizing something over his needs. I started turning down opportunities, declining projects that required travel, organizing my work schedule around his preferences, his need for me to be available, his expectation that I prioritize him over professional advancement. All without him ever saying a word, all just to avoid the disappointment, all just to maintain his approval, his warmth, his pleased expression that meant I was being enough. Year two, I realized I was constantly performing, constantly monitoring myself, constantly adjusting to maintain his approval. To avoid his disappointment, I couldn't relax, couldn't just be, couldn't exist without scanning his expression, reading his energy, trying to figure out what he needed from me in each moment. The fear of disappointing him was constant, was exhausting, shaped everything I said, everything I did, everything I was. I disappointed him with my friends. I had close girlfriends, had known them for decades, liked spending time with them, but he never seemed pleased when I'd make plans with them. Never objected explicitly, never said I couldn't go, just had that look. That subtle disappointment that communicated choosing time with friends, was choosing against him, was failing to prioritize him, was not being the partner he'd hoped for. I started seeing friends less frequently, declining invitations, making excuses, gradually isolating myself, not because he told me to, not because he forbade it, just because the disappointment was unbearable, was worse than missing the time with friends. I'd rather be lonely than see that look, rather sacrifice connections than feel like I'd failed him. The fear of his disappointment was more powerful than my need for friendship, more controlling than any explicit demand could have been. I disappointed him with my body, with aging, with not being whatever he'd hoped I'd be physically. He never said anything cruel, never criticized directly. Just had that look sometimes when I'd change clothes, when I'd get ready for bed. Subtle disappointment that communicated my body wasn't quite right, wasn't meeting some unstated expectation, wasn't what he'd hoped for. I started trying to hide my body, changing in the bathroom, keeping lights off, avoiding moments where he could see me and be disappointed. The shame was constant, was crushing, was all generated by that look, by that subtle expression that told me I failed at being physically what he wanted without him ever saying what that was, without me ever being able to ask, because asking would acknowledge the disappointment, would make it explicit, would reveal that I'd noticed the control. Year 3, I started having physical symptoms, chronic tension, anxiety, insomnia, all from constant vigilance, constant monitoring, constant fear of disappointing him. I'd wake up anxious, wondering what I might do that day that would trigger his disappointment, would go through interactions replaying them obsessively, trying to figure out if I'd disappointed him, if that subtle shift in his expression had been the look, if I'd failed again. My daughter noticed, said, "Mom, you seem different. You seem anxious all the time. You seem like you're walking on eggshells." I said, "I'm fine. Everything's fine." She said, "You don't seem fine. You seem scared. What are you scared of?" I said, "I'm not scared. I'm just trying to be a good partner, trying to be what he needs." She said, "But what about what you need?" I couldn't answer, couldn't remember the last time I considered what I needed versus what would avoid his disappointment. I disappointed him constantly, unpredictably, in ways I couldn't anticipate or prevent. Disappointed him by being too cheerful, too much energy. He preferred quiet, preferred calm. Disappointed him by being too quiet. He wanted engagement, wanted conversation. Disappointed him by talking about work. He wanted me present, not preoccupied. Disappointed him by not talking about work. He wanted to hear about my day, wanted to be included. The requirements changed, shifted, were impossible to predict. What pleased him yesterday disappointed him today. What he wanted last week, he didn't want this week. I couldn't establish patterns, couldn't figure out rules, couldn't learn how to consistently avoid the disappointment, which meant I had to be hypervigilant always, monitoring constantly, ready to adjust instantaneously based on microsignals I was learning to read with desperate precision. Year 4, I realized I'd become someone I didn't recognize, had erased so much of myself trying to avoid his disappointment, had made myself so small, so careful, so monitored. I didn't laugh loudly anymore, didn't tell long stories, didn't get enthusiastically excited about things, didn't see friends, didn't prioritize work, didn't take up space, didn't have needs, didn't show my body, didn't exist fully, all to avoid that look, all to prevent disappointing him, all to maintain the approval I'd organized my entire life around. I tried talking to him about it, said I feel like I'm constantly worried about disappointing you. I feel like I'm always trying to figure out what you need from me. He seemed genuinely confused. Said, "I've never asked you to be anything other than yourself. I've never controlled you. I've never told you what to do. You're free to do whatever you want." And technically he was right. He'd never said, "Don't see your friends, don't prioritize work, don't be loud, don't take up space." He'd never said any of it, had just looked disappointed when I did those things, and the disappointment had been enough, had been more than enough, had controlled me completely. I said, "But your disappointment, when I do things you don't like, when I'm not what you hoped, the look you get," he said, "I can't help how I feel. I can't help being disappointed sometimes. I'm allowed to have feelings. You can't ask me to pretend I'm not disappointed when I am." I said, "I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm saying your disappointment controls me, shapes everything I do, makes me afraid to be myself." He said, "That sounds like your problem, not mine. I can't control how you respond to my feelings. That's on you." And maybe he was right. Maybe it was my problem, my choice to organize my life around avoiding his disappointment, my decision to make his approval more important than my own needs, my choice to fear disappointing him more than I valued being myself. But the fear felt so real, so powerful, so impossible to resist. The thought of seeing that look, of knowing I'd disappointed him again, of losing his approval even temporarily, felt unbearable, felt like something I'd do anything to prevent. Month 49, I had a realization. We were at dinner. I was telling him about something, checking his expression constantly. Mid-sentence, I saw a slight shift. That beginning of the look immediately adjusted what I was saying, changed my tone, changed my energy, watched his expression shift back to pleased. Felt relief wash over me, relief that I'd caught it in time, had adjusted before fully disappointing him, had prevented the full look from appearing. And in that moment of relief, I realized this is my entire life now. This constant monitoring, this constant adjusting, this fear of disappointing him governing every moment, every conversation, every choice. I'd become a person whose primary goal was avoiding his disappointment, whose primary fear was seeing that look, whose primary sense of self came from maintaining his approval. And I didn't know who I was anymore outside of that fear, outside of that constant vigilance, outside of trying to be whatever would keep him from being disappointed. I left month 51, told him I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't live in constant fear of disappointing him. Couldn't organize my entire existence around his approval. Couldn't monitor and adjust and perform constantly just to avoid that look. He seemed genuinely surprised, said I never threatened you, never controlled you, never told you what to do. You did this to yourself, and he was partially right. I had done it to myself, had chosen his approval over my own needs, but he'd created the environment where his disappointment was the worst possible outcome, where avoiding it felt like survival, where his approval became the measure of my worth. 5 years out, I'm still learning to exist without constant fear of disappointing people, still catch myself. Monitoring expressions, adjusting behavior, trying to figure out what people need from me, the training. Runs, deep runs at the level of automatic response. I'm learning that most people's disappointment isn't punishment, isn't withdrawal of love, isn't something I have to prevent at all costs. I'm learning that I can disappoint people and survive it, that their disappointment is their feeling to manage, not mine to prevent. I'm learning to tolerate disappointing people, to make choices based on what I need rather than what will maintain everyone's approval, to exist at full size even when that means someone might be disappointed in me, might wish I was different, might prefer I made other choices. I'm learning that being afraid of disappointing someone isn't love, isn't care, isn't consideration, it's fear. And living in fear isn't living. It's just existing in someone else's idea of who you should be. Here's what I desperately wish someone had told me the first time I saw that look. The first time I felt his subtle disappointment. If someone's disappointment in you becomes the thing you fear most, becomes the thing you organize your life around avoiding, becomes more powerful than threats, more controlling than demands, you're not in a loving relationship. You're in a control dynamic, even if no one ever says don't do that, even if no explicit rules are ever stated. If you're living in fear of disappointing someone, if that fear shapes your choices, restricts your life, makes you smaller, you're being controlled. If you're reading this and you're constantly afraid of disappointing someone, if you monitor their expressions to see if you're doing it right, if you adjust yourself constantly to maintain their approval, if their disappointment feels unbearable, if you've organized your life around preventing it, you're not being considerate, you're not being loving, you're living in fear. And that fear is just as controlling as any explicit threat, just as damaging as any stated rule, just as effective at making you small as any obvious abuse. If this resonated, if you realize someone made you afraid to disappoint them, the next video is crucial. It's called The Day I Stopped Explaining Myself. Everything collapsed. It's about what happens when you finally stop explaining, stop justifying, stop defending your choices to someone who's trained you to believe every decision requires their approval. When you simply say no, or I've decided, or this is what I'm doing without explanation, without justification, without seeking permission, and the entire relationship structure collapses because it was built on you explaining. You justifying, you seeking approval. Link is on screen now.